Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. This is Naaman of the DC camp, branch of Great Millstone, back for another video. But first and foremost, call hello Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah B'dash. And of course, once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations also go out to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and byways, week in, week out, sometimes more than once. Alright, and not to mention the numerous amounts of videos that go up on a daily to further push this truth out across the four corners of the earth. Alright, so here we are, because I'm going to be using at least a couple of videos. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Alright, so here we go. I'm sure all of you are aware of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Alright. Nothing to feel sad about because, hey, he made his bed and now he's lying in it. You know? All the lies he told. Yeah, I don't believe it was a coincidence that right as he was in the beginnings of telling another one, he got capped. Alright, but as myself and others have come to believe that that was a professional hit. Alright, we're going to go into why we suspect that. And I have to say it like that. Alright, let's go to Mr. Shaheed. I'm going to be using him and also Savvy Saps. Alright, I'm sure a lot of Jake, you Akim out there are familiar with this gentleman here, Shaheed Bolson. He's going to speak and why you should not celebrate what just happened. There's things to consider. Why? And to question the timing of it. Alright, so here we go.
Okay, so they want me to talk about this boy, Charlie Kirk, who got shot in Utah. Him getting shot in Utah makes him, I believe, American number 18,533 who got shot in the U.S. this year, shot and killed. And I think that there were 3 more people who were killed, shot and killed in
less
Colorado.
than an hour after that happened.
Within hours of his shooting. And all the flags in America are going to fly half-mast. Not for those 18,335 other victims, but they're going to fly half-mast for Charlie Kirk. That's just an observation. You can do with it what you will. I'll be honest, when I first heard that he had been shot, I made a joke about it on X. Because frankly, I'm just as used to theatrics coming out of America as I am used to gun violence coming out of America. And I thought that theatrics seemed more likely in this case.
Like that Trump
But when
shooter.
I did learn that he died, I deleted my post. I deleted it out of respect, not for him, but for the severity and for the solemnity of the judgment that he has now proceeded to. Because everything that he ever said and everything that he ever did that harmed anyone, well, he's going to answer for that. He's going to answer for that right now in his meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the heaviness of that meeting is disturbing to any of us who believe in it. But we'll talk about it. Let's start with the obvious, okay? First, I'm not going to feign grief or feign mourning for this person. I know that's a hypocrisy that social etiquette demands at a moment like this. But we all know that he would certainly not grieve for us. He certainly would not mourn for us, just as he never grieved and he never mourned for the wanton slaughter of the Palestinians in Gaza. He never grieved for that. And for myself personally, as a Muslim and as a critic of Western so-called civilization,
Now keep in mind what he just said for a little later. We're going to get into that about grieving for the Palestinians. Alright, just bear that in mind.
I know that Charlie Kirk himself would most likely have officially anyway considered me to be his enemy. And as far as I'm concerned, any man whose enemy mourns him when he dies, well, he wasn't doing his job.
There you go. You're my enemy.
And I don't think it can be said about Charlie Kirk that he didn't do his job, which is to say that he never did anything and he never said anything in his public life that would make me mourn his passing. Just as I hope that I will never say or do anything in my public life that would make my enemies grieve for my passing. They should be happy when I die. enemies are disturbed by each other's presence, not by each other's absence. But let me also be crystal clear about this.
There you go.
It doesn't make me happy either. I neither mourn nor
Just don't
celebrate.
tell you why.
Neither of those reactions is appropriate, in my opinion. Whoever pulled that trigger didn't do it for me, and they didn't do it for you. I don't even see them as being on two different sides. They didn't silence Charlie Kirk. They amplified Charlie Kirk.
Made him a
The
martyr.
power structure never cared about that boy. They used him. And he's more useful to them now than he was the day before.
Yep.
He's more useful to them dead than he was alive. Listen, you don't defeat someone like this, someone like a Charlie Kirk, a tool like him, by letting that tool mold you into exactly what they want you to be. That killer didn't deliver justice. If you think they did, he didn't. He delivered to the power structure an even more enhanced weapon. He made a mediocre, but dangerous and polarizing figure, Charlie Kirk, into now an impeachable icon for the very fan base that he most likely despises.
Yeah.
And he made criticism of Charlie Kirk's ideas. Now it's disrespect for the dead. This is not resistance. This is a gift. This is a gift to the very security state that he probably thought he was attacking. Now,
There you go. I waited till I got to that point because I'm going to read this prayer for deliverance, King David, from secret enemies. All right. It says, Psalm 64, I start at the top, to the chief musician of Psalm of David. Hear my voice, O Most High, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. And we know that the enemy is the elites. All right. Hide me, verse 2, hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity. 3, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. This is why he said you should not be celebrating what just happened, because this is all set up. Alright, they saw an opportunity and they sacrificed this man for their agenda.
it's stupidity. Or maybe, as the conspiracy theories are already speculating, what actually happened was just a purge of an expendable asset to create a more powerful symbol. Well, they'll use his death. Oh, how they will use it. They will use his death to paint every dissenting voice, every cry for a more just world. They'll paint it with the same bloody brush. They're going to use his death to avoid once again.
Again, the big picture. What is the big picture? They once lost sight of it, and this is what's behind this, because the political parties, such as they were here in the United States, were starting to realize something, especially when it comes to this so-called war over in Western Asia. They were starting to say, hey, wait a minute. You know what? This shit ain't right. They're over there slaughtering these people who can't put a fight, let's just face it. And that's what these cigar smoking Knesset and Mossad and all these other Israelis, that's what they were worried about. Continuing on.
And ever having to look in the mirror. They're going to hold Charlie Kirk's body up as a shield against any examination of the society that created him. And the society that created his killer. The society that they made and that they rule, and you didn't do anything now but strengthen their hold on that society. They're going to use his corpse as a pulpit to preach from. And you just validated all the lies that they're going to be preaching.
Yeah, shamelessly, I might add.
Because listen, the truth is, the Charlie Kirks of the world are not the enemy. The enemy is the society, it's the system, it's the power structure, it's the so-called civilization that creates boys like Charlie Kirk.
And that's
I call him a boy because that's what he is to me.
And that's
I'm 54 years old.
That's this beast system as a whole.
And also because he presented a childish, simplistic cartoon portrait of America that only a young boy could ever believe in. He presented an America without complexity, without guilt, without the burden of their terrible history. Well, that's a seductive product. And America has always been an eager market for that sort of a product. He existed because of supply and demand. you demand and the power structure supplies. The killer and the killed are the products of the same sick society. Kirk and his killer, and the other 18,535 victims and their killers. And
yeah, this, they're never going to address the issues. This line sack of crap that just got laid down, and I'm talking about Kirk, with all the lies he told trying to make Jake the problem, the issue. All right, when all you had to do, despite what was coming out of his mouth, which was all horse shit, all you had to do was look at the FBI statistics. Simple as that. And I'm surprised, I've heard they do a lot of editing too, so we may never know, as far as when he goes to these campuses and, talks to these college students. He enjoys that. That's not much of a challenge, to tell you the truth. But I wish just for once someone would have showed up. I've never seen it. It may have happened and I'm me not knowing about it. With the actual stats in hand. Alright, to counter his bullshit. But in any case, let's go back to, it says, Psalm 64:3, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even better words. And you better believe they want to flip the script, because the Israelites, the Hebrew Israelites, have been out there on the highways and byways tearing them apart with scriptures, alright, through the Spirit, alright, and there's nothing much they could do about it. So they needed something so that they can claim hate speech. And we've been telling you for the longest time, Amos 8 verse 11 and 12 is going to come to pass. They've got to. Alright, it's too much information on the internet that just destroys all their lives. They've got to. Alright, so let's go to Psalms 11 and 2. It says, for lo, the wicked bend their bow, they make ready their arrow upon the string, that they may privily shoot at the upright in heart. And that's the thing, they loved, until at least recently, to remain hidden behind the scenes. Alright, that's how they really kept a lot of their power. People, that's just conspiracy theory, and shit like that. Yeah. Psalms 58 and 7, it says, let them melt away as waters which run continually. When he bendeth his bow to shoot his arrows, let them be as cut in pieces. So, and there's other scriptures that tell you all the things that you've done to us. Alright? And we bring up the issue of the story of Haman. Alright? And yeah, that's what's going to happen in Esther, all we have to do is sit back and watch. You don't have to, get physical or anything. That's what Hosea 6 and 5. Hold on, let's see. Let's get, because for some reason I always get these mixed up. Let's see. It's like, not that I'm dyslexic or anything. Let's see. Maybe I'll get it right this time. Alright. I did. Well, doggone it. Here we are. This is Hosea chapter 6 verse 5. It says, therefore have I hewed them. Who's the them? Our enemies, right? Whoops. Haven't used this in a while. Salaki. Alright. Therefore have I hewed them by the prophets. Alright. I have slain them by the words of my mouth. And thy judgments are as the light that goeth forth. Alright, which brings to mind another. And we're going to go into the New Testament for you guys. That was the Old Testament. Okay. Alright. Let's see. 2 Corinthians 10. And we'll start at 4. And it says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. Alright, we've been instructed by both the elder apostles and this very word. Alright, but mighty through Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua to the pulling down of strongholds. And what are those strongholds? 5. Casting down imaginations and every high thing. Let's see if I can get that. Alright. Imaginations, reasoning, thinking, a conception, a device. And every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Exalted to raise up, to lift up. And we know this is a prideful devil, so it's not too hard for him. Itself against the knowledge of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach Yahushua. Alright. So that's what we're out here for. Alright. Trying to also encourage our people in these days to repent, because you got to start with that. Alright. It's not like the church tells you you can come as you are. No. Repentance is a big thing here. And in fact, let's see. We can go on Colossians 3 and 10 about the new man. That's just how it sounds. Alright. Can't be bringing the same. Alright, this is repentance. The act or process of repenting, remorse or contrition for past conduct or sin. Synonym, penitence, which actually the penitentiaries were supposed to be about. But that was corrupted. Alright, so also Psalms 51st chapter. Alright, that's heavy. Alright, let's see. Number 3, the act of repenting, or the state of being penitent, sorrow for what one has done or omitted to do, especially contrition for sin. What did I say about Psalms 51? Let's get that real quick. Alright. I believe it's 11. Let's see. Alright, let's see. Wait a minute. Oh man, what did I do? Oh, that can't be right. I did do that. I was thinking of I jumped the gun there. My fault. Alright, 51. Little arrows. Right. It says, cast me. Wait a minute. Let's see. I gotta go up a little bit. Hold on. Alright. Let's see. Psalm 51 and 7. It says, purge me with hyssop. What was hyssop? Let's see. Alright. Huh. I thought it was going to give me. Let's see. Purge me with hyssop. I don't know why it's not. Anyway. And I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. Make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Hide thy face from my sins, and blot out all mine iniquities. Alright? Create in me a clean heart, O Most High, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and uphold me with thy free spirit. And this is one right here in 11. Cast me not away from thy presence, which we all pray. Alright, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Alright. So yeah, repentance is a big part of this. Alright. So let's go back to Mr. Bolson here.
If you don't clock this reality, if you don't understand this reality, and if you let yourself get swept up in all the narratives and all the counter narratives, then you might just end up being like one of them.
Mm-hmm.
On one side or the other side of that gun. Because the machine is already spinning.
And that's just it, the machine. And so many Jake are caught up in Democrat, Republican. Revelation 13 and 11, right? Alright. Let's get that. Alright, this is about the beast. Alright, it came up out of the waters. And this is verse 11 here. It says, "And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon." And that's both of these parties, these political parties. You got to remember, Rome, ancient Rome, was unlike those kingdoms before it. You know, it tells you that in, oh my God, is it First Maccabees 8th chapter, where they sought assistance from the Romans, the Maccabees, and it tells you how they were different. That it wasn't how it ruled by like a king, and then passed down to, you know, through his lineage, which in some cases that actually happened, but all of those some ruthless and treacherous pieces. And once you study these Edomites when you know, when they were ruling, and the shit that they did to their own family, poisonings and such. Yeah, but these were different. They had a senate, and much what we have here today, that was the beginnings of it. Alright, and that's what made them different. And this system that it's speaking of here, this is what it represents. He said 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, you know. And Jake has gotten caught up in this for the most part. Not only Jake, but that's who we're concerned about. Alright, but they're being manipulated to the point where, man, you can't see this. But again, this is prophecy happening right before your face. Alright,
The machine, that same machine that Charlie Kirk served so faithfully.
the machine,
They're spinning the narrative now.
the beast system.
They're going to label him as a martyr for free speech.
Yep.
A victim of left-wing extremism.
Amos
And they're going
8.
to use his death. They're going to
11
use
and
it to
12.
demand more surveillance, more censorship, more policing, more militarization of the police against their opponents.
Mm-hmm.
You know, more police powers. They're going to use his blood to sanitize his ideology and to legit.
Again, who do you think ultimately is behind it? Who pulled the strings here? Who's doing the Birdman rubbing of hands behind the scenes? Mm-hmm.
Minimize every poisonous thing that he ever said. And some of you are out here cheering about what happened. Well, you're fools. Why, when you celebrate, all you do is elevate and strengthen their narrative. Charlie Kirk was not an outlier. He was a product. He was the logical output of a system that's designed to generate exactly what he was. Like I said, he didn't create the demand. The demand was already there. He just exploited it. He sold a fantasy, like I say, a fantasy where all of the problems of modern America,
And now they're exploiting him.
decay, economic despair, cultural displacement, and cultural unrest, political powerlessness,
In depth.
these are all not the inevitable results of late-stage capitalism and a dying empire. No. It's all the fault of immigrants. It's all the fault of minorities, of wokeism.
There you go.
Some internal enemy
Somebody
that's
to
not in
blame.
power. Well, now he's been killed. And his death is going to be used to service that same system. The security state benefits, the politicians that he supported benefit, the media benefits because they get endless hours now of content, of debate, of fear-mongering, of polarization mining. You understand me? The entire apparatus of control gets a massive boost. His killing was not an attack on the system. It was a gift to the system. You didn't extinguish a fire, you just scattered the embers and made it more dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
The individual who pulled that trigger, their motives are irrelevant. It doesn't matter if they saw themselves as a revolutionary or they saw themselves as a vigilante. Their actions serve a deeply counter-revolutionary purpose. You understand me? You didn't help Muslims. You didn't help so-called minorities. You didn't help immigrants. You didn't help women. You didn't help anyone. All you did was exactly what they created Charlie Kirk to goad you into doing. Please understand. You contributed now. Whoever did this contributed to exactly the climate that they created Charlie Kirk to create. No, they're both servants of chaos. The killer and the killed. No, you don't need a bullet. You need a brain. You need a mind that can't be manipulated. You need an inflammable heart. A heart that can stay calm, cool, and collected when everything...
And that's why you need the shield. What is the shield? Alright? It protects you against the wiles of the devil. Let's go to, let's see. Could have stayed there, but let's see. Let's see. All right. Okay. Okay, I got it this time. All right. Ephesians 6. Let's see. I will start at 10. It says, "Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Most High and in the power of His might." All right. But put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. All right. Alright. And what it says, scheming, his craftiness, his deceit. Alright. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. It says, wherefore take unto you the whole armor. Alright. Of God, that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day when these bad times come. All right, malicious, bad, wicked. All right, and having done all, to stand. 14. Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness. When he was talking about you need a brain. All right.
Around you is in flames. That's what you need. And wallahi, you can't let the hatred of a people cause you to act unjustly.
There you go. Let's get the other half of that. Let's go to Isaiah. Because what we're telling you, we're out there on the highways and byways, will benefit you in the times to come. Alright? Isaiah 33. Alright. And 6. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability, firmness, steadiness, all right, steadfastness, faithfulness, trust of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Most High is his treasure. Yeah. And wisdom starts with the fear of the Most High, by the way. All right, which a lot of people, let's just tell it like it is, don't. You know, and this system that was set up, let me see if I remember the order. After the Renaissance, these bastards, what they did, they were motivated by really three things that spread out over 300 and some change in as far as years, between 3 and 4 centuries. So it started out, you know, with the religious aspect. Now, if you get 1 and 2 mixed up, you won't be wrong. No one's going to hold you fat. You know, it's economics, religion, economics. You can switch them. All right. But for this purpose of this video, we're just going to say the religious aspect of it because they had to put their image. All right. But some will say, well, they were motivated by greed also. That's true too. But let's just go in this order. With religion, then economics, and then the last one, they like to say happened shortly before the U.S. Civil War. And that had to be, well, biology is the reason that these people underneath us, the so-called white man, and it came on the heels of what's that asshole's name? His damn it. His cousin was Francis Dalton. Oh man. With eugenics. God damn, I can't believe I forgot his name. Oh boy. Let's see. Darwin, Charles Darwin. Dang. All right. In his book, it's got a rather long title. Let's see. Yeah, he made the argument, is a tree greater than the blade of grass and all that shit, Yeah, this asshole here. So that was the third one, all right. Yeah, this is so-called white man. These Edomites ran a game, especially on our people, all right. But yeah, and that's what allowed them to, and of course we know these curses that were put on us, and both kingdoms, northern and southern kingdoms of Israel, got it. All right, and as usual is the case, it just follows this this path. The northern kingdom gets it first, southern kingdom gets it the worst. And I specifically in some of my videos warned Southern Kingdom Jake not to laugh at what was going on with Northern Kingdom with these ICE raids and all this, because we knew it's just a matter of time. And with this shit, as you're going to see here a little later, so I'll quit talking, when we say this is all set up, you're going to see why. Here we go.
Or to advocate or to endorse injustice, or to celebrate injustice. Don't let that boy's enmity towards us and ours towards him make you think that his murderer is our ally. No. You don't answer words with bullets. Back in the day, back in the time of the Sahaba, when the Muslims would fight against the Kuffar, the Kuffar, they would bring their drummers and they would bring their singing girls to egg them on. Nobody ever killed them. Well, that's what Charlie Kirk was. You don't win a war by targeting the singing girls and the drummers of your enemy. Girls. That's no strategy. I've said many, many times, you have to erect your partitions around your discourse, around your people, around what you let into your mind, or you're going to lose your focus, and you're going to lose your purpose, and you're going to get confused, and you're going to make bad decisions. You're going to make wrong decisions, unjust decisions, immoral decisions, because you let yourself get provoked. No. For me personally, I didn't care about Charlie Kirk yesterday, the day before, and I don't care about him now. I don't mourn and I don't celebrate. That's strategic indifference.
There you
and
go.
I don't respect anyone who tries to tell me
indifference
that I'm supposed to grieve. And I don't respect anyone who tells me that I'm supposed to be happy. What is he to me or me to him? He certainly isn't more important to me than the most likely hundreds of thousands of my brothers and sisters that you cut down in Gaza. You didn't mourn any of them, and I didn't tell you to, because I already know how you are. I already know that your performance of mourning over Charlie Kirk has nothing whatsoever to do with respect for human life. He was just a vessel for an ideology that you hold sacred. And it's an ideology that dehumanizes people. It's an ideology that disregards the sanctity of life. And we've seen that on full display for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So no, obviously not. I'm not the least bit interested in accommodating your weaponization of selective compassion and selective sympathy.
That's
now,
exactly
if you want
what
to
it
paint
is.
my indifference, if you want to spin my indifference as if it is approval of the crime that was committed, well, okay, I already know that you never do anything but lie anyway. And I know that you are from exactly the same manipulated, mutated, mutilated, and maladjusted population that created the demand that the power structure met by giving you Charlie Kirk. and that gave you his killer. Meaning you're just part of that mob in America. That same collective monster that's responsible for the American genocide of the indigenous people. That's responsible for genocides in Guatemala, genocides in Bangladesh, in Iraq, in Cambodia, in East Timor, in West Papua, and in Gaza. And you're the same collective monster that's responsible for every atrocity, every heinous crime that your country has ever committed. As far as I'm concerned, you poisoned Charlie Kirk's mind before he could even have a chance at a decent life, a moral life. And you poisoned the mind of the one who took the life that Charlie Kirk had. So spare me your counterfeit moralizing. No, you turned your country into a psychological and a spiritual torture chamber. And then your country turned the global south into a physical and an economic torture chamber. And now that system, that same system that you're serving, is turning inwards on you now. I told you that political violence, division, and terrorism, and civil unrest, and turmoil, I told you all this was going to be coming home. Why? Because that's your business model. That's your business model. And you're the only market left to vanquish. And the more you give yourself up to all these twisted, polarizing, hateful narratives, well, all you're doing is playing along with your own demolition.
There you go. Can't get more plain than that. Here's another. This is Jesse Dolomore. The mag base is frothing at the mouth. Let's hear this real quick. For violence after Charlie Kirk's death.
Got done talking about Jesse Waters and Greg Gutfeld and
Let's
Sean
roll it back a
Hannity.
little bit. I didn't realize it. Yeah,
400
okay.
million plus firearms in this country. They don't belong to the left, bro.
So as I just got done talking about Jesse Waters and Greg Gutfeld and Sean Hannity and Steve Bannon and all of these people who are now stoking violence that they will never commit. They were trying to convince the unwashed, low information, rank and file conservative to take action.
Exactly. So let's go to Savvy Sabs here. We're going to start right here at the 20 and a half minute mark. Feel free to look at it up to this point. I'm just, because of the time, I'm going to start here.
Mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it.
But nothing about the lies that this asshole told about our people to fan hatred against us. Not surprised.
As well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical and political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. For years, those on the radical...
I don't know why that video is fuzzy like that, but you guys get the point. The point is this, folks. Does everybody see what's happening? And here we go with what is to come next. Donald Trump just told you so himself. Going after organizations. What do you think that means? You don't think that Benjamin Netanyahu, which he is, you don't think he's not out here taunting around like he said, well, Charlie Kirk was pro-Israel. You guys don't see what this is really about, what's really happening now? This means going forward, you are going to see an increase in surveillance. Oh, how convenient, considering Palantir is all the buzz as of recent. This is going to cause an increase in the police state cause a crackdown on protests or any other type of, and I'll go as far as to say this, the anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian type of movement. What do you think is going to happen from here? When he says he's going to go after organizations, think about all the organizations that participate in these protests. What do you guys think is coming? Now, Donald Trump has sent in the National Guard to D.C., talking about sending them to Chicago and then later Baltimore. Is Donald Trump going to send in the National Guard to Utah after what just happened? Probably not. This is all political. And this is exactly what the establishment wants. They want us to be divided politically. We were starting to come together in some way, shape, or form when it came to war, when it came to Israel, and now they have found a way to separate us once again. So I see a lot of people cheering this on, applauding this. I say the same thing that I said back then with George Floyd and all the rest of them. No, you should not be applauding this. People can say what they want to say. Yes, I get it. There are consequences that come with that. But people shouldn't be killed because of what they say. And I want you to think about what this means for political commentators as well, and for you. What happened to Charlie Kirk can happen to any one of us. Right now, they want you to believe that this doesn't happen to people on the left. This is a lie. Many of us on the left have received death threats, and not just recently, but over the years. You don't have to like who Charlie Kirk was, but next time it could be somebody else. Next time it could be someone that you do like. It could be any one of us that do political commentary. Any one of us. It could be you. And I don't think people are seeing this for what this really is. I don't think they're looking at the big picture. I think that people are focusing on, he said these things, he said that thing, so I don't really care what happens to him. But what I am here to tell you is that is exactly what the establishment wants. They're sitting in their rooms right now smoking cigars. They're happy. They're happy. They said, look, just like that, we got them to turn their focus.
Again, prophecy. Nothing is going to save America. Doesn't matter if you come together or not. All right?
Off of what was happening with these wars, the military and Israel, we have separated them once again and got them to bicker at each other. And that is another reason why I really believe this was a professional hit. I believe this has intel all over it. I really do. You can see from this picture here, this is the closest I think we've been able to see. The shooter was on the roof. Here's an image here. And then here's another image here on the roof. And then here's...
And you have to understand, and she's going to get into this, so I don't want to jump the gun too much. But what's with all these people being on the roofs, and roofs being unmonitored, regardless of the setting? Being this guy with such a lightning rod.
I don't know who these people are, but there were people on the roof of the building. People on the roof of the building. People have been asking me, what about security, etc.? This was an outdoor campus event. And as someone that's worked at the universities for a long time, a lot of times the outdoor campus events, there may be like one security guard, like right at the entrance to check to make sure the people who are supposed to attend that event are the ones that are coming in. But for the most part, the outdoor events, it's not so much like that. For example, when I was at MIT, when I worked at MIT, Matt Damon was one of the commencement speakers one of the years that I worked there. And he was walking around like the halls of MIT with one security guard. Well, once he was outside, like that was it. That was it. So people have been asking me about that, and I just wanted to give you my experience of that. And we can even see here from this picture, this is a video actually, where they try to point out the shooter. Right there.
Yep, there
right
you go,
there. Running on the roof. So, does this seem familiar to you? Doesn't this kind of remind you of the Trump rally where the shooter was on the roof? And then you have Benjamin Netanyahu coming in here. Charlie Kirk was murdered for speaking truth and defending freedom. A lion-hearted friend of Israel, he fought the lies and stood tall for Judeo-Christian civilization. I spoke to him only 2 weeks ago and invited him to Israel. Sadly, that visit will not take place. We lost an incredible human being. His boundless pride in America and his valiant belief in free speech will leave a lasting impact. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. First of all, how does Benjamin Netanyahu know why Charlie Kirk was killed? How does he know why he was killed? The shooter has not been captured. Still, how does he know the reason why Charlie Kirk was killed? I found it very strange yesterday that a lot of Israeli politicians were very quick to tweet after he was shot, and then again after he was killed. And I bring that up because of this. Just recently, Charlie Kirk was on Meg Kelly's show. Let me go ahead and put this up here. He was on Megyn Kelly's show talking about Israel. Listen to this.
Sudden, like, I host a person that I moderate the debate of my right? And I give equal time to Josh Hammer, equal time to a pro-Israel advocate, and my moral character is being put into question. And so I think it's a hyper paranoid, like, we're just gonna try to we're gonna just stamp out everything type of practice. But it goes to the point where, if, for example, if I have less ability sometimes online to criticize the Israeli government about backlash than actual Israelis do. And that's really, really weird, isn't it, Megan? That's not so right. Oh.
You hear that? He was starting to question, it seems like to me. There's another one here. This was very recent. Listen to what he said to Ben Shapiro about Israel.
Charlie, we push back against the media on COVID, on lockdowns, on Ukraine, on the border, on this. Like, maybe we should also ask a question: is the media totally presenting the truth when it comes to Israel? Just a question. You know, that maybe we shouldn't believe everything the media says, because I know I've been conditioned to ask a lot more critical questions over the last couple of years. So then some people would accuse Israel of wanting to ethnically cleanse. Some people in the Israeli government are saying, again, it's all over the place, right? You have opinions all over. In your opinion, what would a good outcome 5 years from now be, and how does...
You get the point. He was starting to question Israel. He was starting to ask questions. I don't know. This whole Israel thing is starting to be a little bit weird for me. Even when it came to Epstein and Israel, and Epstein being massaged.
Lies that Epstein, with his little friend Ghislaine, and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, who is obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies, that there was something else going on here. Epstein was not some sort of whiz-kid hedge fund manager. Epstein was playing a part. Epstein was a LARPer. Epstein was cast for a specific role, and he played it really well. The sweatpants and the Harvard jacket, the kind of disheveled hair, looking as if he was so smart and above the clouds that he was doing advanced mathematic equations on the back of napkins. But if you actually go into some of the videos of people that met with Epstein at the time, they said he was awfully unimpressive when it came to finance and markets and economics. And it's nothing new that if you're in the intel agencies, you want to try and get as much blackmail on powerful people as possible. Easy, not hard. And this is no longer just speculation. First of all, the evidence that shows that Epstein was a creation of either Mossad, Israeli intelligence, American intelligence, Saudi intelligence, or maybe he was just a hired gun. Maybe he was just the guy that countries would go to and park a couple $100 million and say, hey, can you get one of the members of the royal family with a 13-year-old so we can get them to do what we want to do. Members of Congress are actively being blackmailed. The Epstein playbook is being used on a daily basis.
Charlie Kirk was starting to ask questions about Israel. And this gentleman here, which this tweet really went viral, his name is Harrison Smith. I'm not going to name names, but I was told by someone close to Charlie Kirk that Charlie thinks Israel will kill him if he turns against them. Okay, so here he is right here explaining himself.
Really viral from last month. It's now the #1 tweet on anything Benjamin Netanyahu is posting, so thanks guys, really glad I'm on his radar now. That's cool. But it's true, I mean, I don't really have too much to add to it, honestly. I'm not going to say who it was that told me because they asked me not to, kind of for obvious reasons, so if they want to go public, they're more than welcome to. I don't have much to add to it other than basically like a month ago I watched an interview with Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk, and I thought they looked scared, and I commented on that, made a video out of it, and then like a day or so later I was talking to this person, and the way I remember the conversation going was that we were just talking about sort of Israel and Zionism and Zionist influencers, and Charlie Kirk came up, and I remember the other person saying to me, well, you know, Charlie Kirk says he's afraid to go against Israel because he thinks they might kill him. And I said, that's crazy because I just made that video about how Charlie Kirk seems scared. That's crazy that you're saying that.
Does everybody, like, guys, just connect the dots. Does everybody see what's really happening here? So people say, well, Israel would go after someone on the left, not someone on the right. To me, that seems a little too obvious. Because Charlie Kirk was still pro-Israel, but he was starting to question it. And he wasn't questioning it in private, he was questioning it on his show. Now, as of right now, still, the shooter, right now, we don't know who the shooter is. And you have people, commentators that are saying, it's this person's fault, it's that person's fault. We don't know who the shooter is. But based on the video that I saw, and the fact that as of right now, the shooter still has not been captured, I point towards intelligence. And I would not be surprised if there was some involvement here from Israel. It doesn't mean that it was, an Israeli that did this. But I would not put it past. Guys, we had Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., JFK, RFK killed in this country. Are people forgetting what country this is? When people sit up there and they say that people are saying it now, this is not who America is. This is not who we are as a country. We're not a violent country. America is a violent country.
Very much so.
Let's stop pretending that we're something that we're not. Right after Charlie Kirk was shot.
And that's why you're seeing this all-out full-court press to try to suppress the history, the violent history of America, especially when it comes to dealing with us. All right?
There was another mass shooting right after. We were just talking about a shooting that happened at a Catholic school just a week or so ago. Stop saying that. This is exactly who America is. But the fact that people aren't putting the pieces together, use your minds, use your brains, put the pieces together. They came at, like, all these people that have been killed in this country by intel. And people say, well, they wouldn't do that to Charlie Kirk. They could do it to anybody. Anybody that they see no longer fits their bottom line. He was starting to question it. He was starting to question Israel. And that's why I believe that intel was all behind this. And there's a new update here about the shooter from Brian Allen here. It says, breaking, FBI now investigating possible foreign intelligence links to Charlie Kirk's assassin. This just went from domestic tragedy to international chessboard. Multiple leads suggest the shooter may have been tied directly or indirectly to foreign intel networks. Now, this was published after I pretty much came to this conclusion on my own, which I thought, I was like, this could be intel. Again, the shooter has not been captured. I don't want to keep you guys all day, but I want to say this. What happened to Charlie Kirk can happen to, again, anybody and any political commentator. So think about that. There are a number of us that go to events that have, that speak at these events, that speak at rallies. Could have happened to any one of us. At the same time, people do have to understand, and I cannot stress this enough, do have to understand, you cannot expect the black community to come out and mourn Charlie Kirk after the way that he has demonized and vilified the black community over the years. 3, the fact that he's been doing that over the years, people need to ask, why did this happen now? What has changed? 4, the change.
And the overwhelming irony of all this, after he's told all those lies regarding us, all right, look at how he was taken out in front of his wife and kids.
Changes, he was starting to question Israel and did so
Payback
publicly on his
bitch.
show. That's a problem for Israel. People were starting to talk about that there's a possibility that Charlie Kirk could run for president. Israel saw him as someone, yay, this is a great ally of ours. We know we got a believer in him. This is going to be great. He started to waver on that. You have the video from the gentleman telling you that Charlie Kirk believed that if he were to change his mind or turn on Israel, that they would kill him. Shows that there was some type of fear there. And then last but not least, the left and the right were starting to come together for some type of an anti-war coalition to push back against sending money to Israel, to push back against a genocide in Gaza, to push back against the U.S. being attached at the hip to Israel. And lo and behold, they found a way to break.
Yeah, they didn't want that sugar daddy to dry up. They didn't want that money to dry up. All right.
That up. These are the things that I want you to think about. We'll have to stay tuned to find out what other information is revealed, but it is very telling that they still have not found the shooter.
And right there, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Like I said, the big picture. Everybody's still into their emotions. That's why I showed you this clip here. Jesse Dolomar. Alright. MAGA base is frothing at the mouth for violence after Charlie Kirk's death. Let's listen a little bit more of this and then I'll wrap it up.
Stoking in them fear and paranoia about the war.
Just what she said. And Shaheed Bolson. Alright. You're falling for it. You're falling for the okie doke.
That we are currently in. The war that is being put upon them, waged against them by the media, Democrats. And unfortunately, in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, it is working. I've got 4 videos here, very brief, 45 seconds or so each, from TikTok and Twitter, of people who are filled with rage, with violence, with seething hatred toward people who believe that we should have Medicare for all, who believe that we should have sensible gun laws that may have prevented the assassination of Charlie Kirk. People who believe in equality, in equity, in inclusion, in diversity, who believe in the ideals often enshrined in the Constitution: due process, equality under the law, equal protection under the law. These ideals that are at the forefront, the foundational principles of a liberal democracy. But the non-controversial, non-polarizing, non-divisive Charlie Kirk was killed at the hands of a madman. And now the country must burn because of this imaginary war. Let me start with Heavy 4900 on TikTok. And look, but not a content warning, but brace yourself. This is gonna get heavy. This is going to, I want to warn you of what is likely to come at some point, somewhere in this country. This isn't over. The peak has not been reached yet. The acme of ridiculous violence at the hands of some conservative isn't over. Watch Heavy 4900 on TikTok.
I hope when this is all over, you remember who fired first. You've tried to kill the president twice, and now you've assassinated man for talking. You don't really want to do this, okay? 400 million plus firearms in this country. They don't belong to the left, bro. Yeah. If you think it's okay to murder someone because of their opinion, you get what's coming to you. You and yours.
First of all, who are you talking to, buddy? You hope when all of this is over that we remember who fired first? We don't even know who fired in the first place. No information is had. No information do we know. You have tried to kill the president twice. Heavy 4900 probably isn't aware, because of the vacuum of information in conspiracy land that is the Republican Party, that both assassination attempts on Donald Trump, one wasn't even an attempt, it was just a guy laying in the bushes. The other one was a fired weapon. Were from Republicans. The kid in Butler, Pennsylvania was a Republican, a registered Republican. Not some Antifa terrorist. And they don't belong to the left, the 400 plus million firearms. Do you really want to do this? Do you think that I don't own weapons? Firearms? Do you not think I am proficient in the use of those aforementioned weapons of war? Sir, I spent years in the United States Marine Corps and am more than proficient. It's the first time I've talked about being a firearm owner. Out of the thousands and thousands and thousands of YouTube videos that I've posted. Because it's immaterial. It's irrelevant. I don't traffic in speaking about threats of political violence and my using my weapons to achieve my political goals. This is what the Jesse Waters of our world want. The Greg Gutfelds, the Steve Bannons, the Donald Trumps. This is what they want. So they can clamp down on civil liberties. Let's move on to Wes Watson. I believe he's also from TikTok.
Charlie Kirk was just shot in the fucking neck at Utah. Utah University, somewhere in fucking Utah at one of his events. And I am directly attributing this to all these fucking media personalities and these politicians like Tim Waltz getting on the fucking TV and saying, well, I sure do hope he dies today. I sure hope he dies. Y'all are the fucking reason this shit is happening, you evil motherfuckers. Everything that they say Trump is, they are. Trump's violent, they're fucking violent. Trump's hateful, they're fucking hateful. Trump's a fascist. They're literally shooting people who don't agree with them. Who don't agree that children should be murdered in fucking droves and that men should be able to watch fucking women take a piss. And fucking grown-ass men should be able to have peeping Tom shows in front of elementary school fucking kids.
So Wes here is attributing all of this, all of this to these fucking media personalities and these politicians like Tim Walz getting on TV and saying, well, I sure hope he dies today. Does this rube actually believe, question, do you think this guy really believes that Tim Walz, the loving, kind, generous, decent Tim Walz, actually got on TV, stood in front of a camera with a microphone in front of his face, and said, I hope Charlie Kirk dies as a result of his injuries? That's psychotic. That is batshit. That did not happen. The only place that happened is in the fever dream of Wes Watson. And then again, all of the vagary of language. Everything that they say Trump is, they are. They're fucking violent. They say Trump's hateful. They're hateful. They're literally shooting people who don't agree with them. They? Who's they, Wes? Who's they? Do you know the identity of the shooter? If you do, I would advise you to get onto Twitter and tweet at FBI. Call the FBI tip line and give them the information that you're withholding from us about this nebulous they that you know so much about. This is what Fox News wants more than anything. Because let me tell you, the difference between revenues generated on September 9th, they pale in comparison to those of September 10th and September 11th. Best thing that ever happened to Fox News revenue-wise is something like this. Items like this. Incidences like this. It's not just heavy 4900 or Wes Watson 15. Here's American Flip 87 from Twitter.
This video's in regards to Charlie Kirk. And this video's for the fucking liberals. It's war, motherfuckers. We're coming for you. We're coming for you. And spare me your fucking self-righteous bullshit lectures. I don't give a fuck. We're coming for you.
Impassioned. We're at war, motherfuckers, he says, wearing his Smith & Wesson t-shirt. We're coming for you, the fucking liberals. Language you've never... Look, again, bombastic guy. Rhetorical bomb thrower. Not gonna stop. It's who I am. It's the Marine in me. But you've never heard me talk like this. As bombastic and aggressive as I am, you've never heard me say, we're coming for you. This is war. I've never spoken like Tim Pool. Civil war on the tip of his tongue at every moment. Talking about violence that he will never deliver. This is what they want. We'll end with this other guy who is, this is a guy I feel very bad for. He's not leveling threats, but he is out of his tree with rage, with despair over the shooting of Charlie Kirk. Looking for someone to blame. Talking about jumping in his car and driving down to Provo. For what reason, I don't know. Watch this.
This is such bullshit. I've never been so pissed in my whole life. And this murder Charlie Kirk right here in Utah. I'm so freaking pissed right now. This is bullshit. I just saw blood squirting out of his face. I love that guy. He would have been our next president. I am so pissed right now. Why do they always come with fucking violence? God damn it. Use the freaking words in their talking to people. Who shotgun Charlie Kirk? I'm driving in a Provo right now. I'm so pissed. Damn it.
Again, the reason I included this is I feel bad for this guy. From the video you just watched, this is heartbreaking to me. using the same language. They murdered Charlie Kirk right here in Utah. They did it. They. Who's the they? We don't even know who the gunman was. We don't even know the motivations of the gunman. And yet it's they. It's the shadowy network of liberals. Even Donald Trump giving his speech talking about how the groups that fund them. Like, what are they talking about? All of this is intended to ratchet up fear and violence and restrictions on civil liberties. The same people who got violent during COVID because they were recommended to wear masks to protect vulnerable populations, to stop and slow the spread of a deadly virus, and they flipped out. They armed themselves and went to their state capitals. These are the same people who are going to be responsible for the infliction of restrictions of civil liberties again, because Donald Trump is...
Exactly. They knew exactly how to manipulate these pea-brain morons. Alright? So, you can expect for follow through here. That's why I say at the end of my videos, you gotta be circumspect out here, especially now. This is what I'm talking about. Alright, because these people, history, alright, proves that a lot of them don't have both oars in the water normally. So, you know, you can fuck around, and you know how Jake is. Everything's for shits and giggles. Alright, not taking shit serious. You're gonna end up in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Champing at the bit to declare martial law. To flex his Article 2 that tells him he can do anything he wants. And as much as they fly their Gadsden flags, don't tread on me, they yearn with an almost erotic motivation to have their necks tread upon, stepped upon by the heavy boot of the United States government. I hope you're happy, Charlie Kirk. Is this what you want? Probably. Your hands will not be dirty. They will have metaphorical blood on them. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments
And there you go.
below the video, wherever you're watching it.
I'll stop it there. There you go. Once again, wow, I hope whoever views this has been edified. This is my, you know, take on what's just happened in the last 28 hours. You know, wow. Like we've always said, this is why we're out there on the highways and byways to try to tell our people. Alright, according to Ezekiel 2nd and 3rd chapter, but especially the 3rd chapter there. Alright, and we know either you're going to get it or not. You know, we plant the seeds, and which is all the information, you know, through the Spirit, Scriptures. But the watering and, you know, the growth thereof, that's up to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Alright. So with that, once again, I hope whoever views this video has been edified. And like I said, remain circumspect out here. Be wary of where you are at all times. Alright, so with that, until next video, hey, Shalom.